Hello, hello. My name is Mary Beth Pfeiffer, and some of you know me and some of you don't. I'm a sales director with Mary Kay, and I've actually been building my business for 38 years. Can you believe that? 38 years. I love what I do, and initially I came into Mary Kay and started building my business. And I really only gave myself a year. I was looking for a way out. I was working 55 to 60 hours a week. My husband was working nights. I was working days. We had a baby at home, Dustin, who is now 39. He was almost a year old, and I was frustrated. I was frustrated with going to work when it was dark and coming home when it was dark and picking up my baby, feeding him, bathing him, putting him to bed, falling into bed exhausted, and then getting up the next day and doing that all over again. So I was looking for a change. I was also frustrated because I know this was 100 years ago, and this can't be done anymore. But I was frustrated because I found out that the men that I worked with set up systems for, help train. The men that I was working with made more money than I did. And when I talked to my boss about that, I was told I couldn't make as much money as they did because I had a man to support me and because I could have babies. And I just did not think that was right. And so my goal was to get back into law school so that I could change that for other women. Little did I know the treasures that were in Mary Kay waiting for me. Emotional treasures, physical treasures, financial treasures, and even jewel treasures. Little did I know all the gifts that were waiting for me. See, when I started Mary Kay, well, I'm an introvert. And so I didn't know very many people. I mean, I was putting all my effort into just existing and living every day. And it wasn't that I didn't love my job. I did. And it wasn't that I wasn't a happy person. I was. But I wasn't happy with where my future was going. And so I decided, well, I guess after a year, I decided I loved what this business did. First of all, I'm here today to teach you about eyes, which I'm going to. And one of the reasons I can teach you about eyes is because I have had the pleasure of working with some of the top makeup artists in the world. I would have never thought that. I didn't really even like makeup. I didn't wear makeup. I thought mascara was makeup. And so that was a pure pleasure. And it was so much fun because I got to learn about makeup. So I'm going to talk about eyes. And if you have questions, just please post below. But first of all, when you're working with your eyes, one of the things that you want to do is you want to see what do you want to bring out? What do you want to recede? So it's always a little bit more difficult when you're talking about eyes and you have one eye shape because everybody has a different eye shape. And usually our eyes are not symmetrical. As you can see, on this side, I have much more of a hood. So when I look forward, you don't really see any of my lid, which on this side you do. So what you want to do is see what part of your eye do you see. I have a pretty small eye. I'm deep set in this area, which means it recedes back further. And I have a hood, which means you can't see a whole lot of my lid when I'm looking at you. And those are the things that you want to look for when you're working with your eyes. And those are the things that your consultant can help you with. When I first started wearing eye makeup, it was like, well, I just look like I got punched in the eye because I am dark through this area and I didn't know how to apply it. So I am going to start with a liquid eyeshadow, Starlight Pink. I love starting with this as a base because it can actually double dip. It can brighten the eye in through that area, which is where there's a problem for me. It can act like a primer, and it brightens, and plus it's a great base. So it's doing a lot. You just dab a little bit of the liquid eyeshadow in there, and you blend it out. And then I have to do, oh, you know what? I'm going to start with where I usually start. Usually I start with smudging around my eye. I'm going to do Evening Navy, which is this color right there. So I'm going to take Evening Navy, and this is pretty hard to do in a camera on, so, oh boy, that just went all over. And I'm going to smudge that into my lash line. Oh, my grandson's just arrived, so you're going to hear noise in the background. So I smudge that in. Now normally I always do my eyeshadow before I put my makeup on, because I have fallout. Again, my eyes are deep set, which means my cheekbones are out quite a bit further than my eyes. And so I am going to get fallout. It doesn't matter what I do, I'm going to get fallout. If you always get fallout, you probably have somewhat of a deep set eye or a high cheekbone. And so it is always beneficial to put your eye makeup on before you put your foundation on, because then you don't have to clean up. But I've already been to church this morning, so I had removed my eye makeup and the rest of my makeup was still on. So I always start with the smudge around my eye, because that gives me a good base to start with. Then I cut my eyelid, or I use a cutting technique. And what that is I'm going to create a look of a crease that I don't really have. And so I'm going to start with Hazelnut, which is this color. Oh, wait a minute, this color. Am I pointing in the right one? Yep, this color right here. Hazelnut, Dusty Rose, those are good cutting the crease bases, and that's using two different colors that are slightly darker than your actual skin tone color, and rolling it into that crease. Now what I'm going to do is start creating a lift in that area. And I use the crease brush, which is angled. I point it down, so I'm picking up my product on it, and then I'm placing the point down into the crease, and I'm rolling it into the crease. Again, creating a lift in that area. And then you go to one step further, and then you straighten your brush. You roll your brush from this way to this way. So I am actually going to go to Cinnabar, which is this one right here, right there, Cinnabar. So I'm going to pick up some Cinnabar. And now I'm going and I'm creating the look or the depth of the crease. So you can see the difference. Can you see the difference between that? And this eye is my more hooded eye. So now it starts looking like I have a crease, which will open up my eyes a little bit more. Soft Heather, so I like the combination of Dusty Rose and Soft Heather to do the same technique. Today I'm using Hazelnut and Cinnabar. Okay, now I also want to brighten my lid a little bit, so and a lot of times I use a shimmer down on my lid down in this area. And you know, we're told that we're not supposed to use a shimmer when we're a little bit more interesting, older. I'm over 60, and you know the rules for the longest time said you're not supposed to use a shimmer over 40. Well, that's not true. But you should ground your eyeshadow with matte. So that means up in this area, if you're a little bit more interesting than I am, or you have hooded eyes, you want to use a matte when you do the cutting the lid technique or cutting the crease technique, because that you don't shimmer brings out, so it brightens the eye a little bit. So today I do have kind of some pink on, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Sunlit Rose, this color right there, Sunlit Rose. So I'm going to take a little Sunlit Rose. Our Chroma Fusions are a high pigmented eyeshadow. It is loved in the industry. Now, when you apply a shimmer, you want to pat it in, less of a brushing stroke, more of a patting, because now your shimmer is going to be a little bit shimmery. Now, this isn't a high shimmer shadow. I'll show you a high shimmer shadow in my corner when I get done. But that's just adding a little color on my lid. Now I'm going to go to my smudge brush, which is kind of a rounded tip brush. And I'm going to go to Merlot. I love Merlot. I think it's a beautiful color, and it really looks pretty with blue or hazel eyes. And again, when I pick up my product, I don't brush it across. I want you to watch my motion. I roll and fill my brush. So I roll and fill my brush, and then I'm going to put a smudge. I have to keep the dark colors on the outside of my eye because I have a smaller eye. So I'm going to start out in the corner, and I'm going to pat that, and I'm going to tie that into my crease. And again, I'm going to pat that in. So it starts smudging and bringing my eye out wider. Can you see how I've now pulled this eye out wider? I'm going to try to do that directly in the camera and not get it all over the place. Feel free to ask questions if you have questions. So the first international makeup artist I worked with was a gentleman by the name of John Maxwell. He did the makeup on the legendary show Dallas, clear back in the 80s. And he was a master at the Abby eye look, which was really big in the 80s. And this technique right there that I showed you, that came from the Abby eye look. Pulling the eyes out and wide by applying that color. And that was his signature look. So that's where that came from, believe it or not. Okay, now I'm going to go, do I have an angled brush here? Yes, I have an angled brush. Now I'm going to pick up a highly shimmer, like crystalline, which has a lot of shimmer in. And I'm going to put that on this angled brush. You know, this brush is usually the brush that you do your brows with. And I'm going to need a mirror for this. And I'm going to put this around. Oh, am I showing you? Around the inside corner. Again, just to add some brightness in that area. I'm now going to, I was going to put a primer on, but that was what I dropped, a lash primer on, that's what I dropped all over. And so now I'm going to put my mascara on. You know, sometimes you get too much mascara. It's always great to clean your brush off a bit. I am using Lash Intensity with this wide brush. And when you put your mascara on, you start and you roll it. So you start at the base and you roll it out. And then I like doing my lower lashes for a while. That wasn't in style. It's back in style. And you can see how that really starts fanning out the eyes. This is my favorite mascara next to Lash Love. Now, when you use a mascara, and I'm sure someone's going to be talking about this, but you want to find the right mascara for your lashes. I have pretty fine lashes, so I can't start with a heavy mascara alone. I usually need to start with Lash Love. However, Lash Intensity is not as dark. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you a tip. If you can see close, I have a lot of fallout underneath my eyes. So when that happens, what you want to do is just, again, do your eyeshadow before you do your foundation, and then you don't have to worry about cleaning up. But when you take your concealer, you can clean that up. Which brightens that area. And then if you're going to use a concealer like that, that was an ivory concealer, and you can see it's pretty bright. You can always go with the under eye corrector over that, but you want to just meld that. I don't mind having that lightness under my eyes because I have a natural deep set eye. So that will just eventually meld into your skin and really brighten up the eye area. And that's how you do your eyes. If you have any questions, post below. Hi, Leah. Hi, Mary. So glad that you joined me. Have a great weekend.